Hi and welcome! If you don't know who I am, I'm Alex and I'm currently on a break from traveling full-time, and I'm here to share all types of travel tips from solo traveling to road trips to international slow travel and everything in between, like other self-development tools to really inspire you to reach your full potential as a free human. So today I wanted to circle back to my cross-country road trip / moving series. Last time I talked about this was planning and logistics, and today I want to talk about our itinerary, what we did, and things that went wrong. So to begin, as I chatted about in the last video, we used U-Pack to ship all of our stuff from one coast to the other, which honestly saved us a ton, and I'm so glad we did this. It was super seamless, and we didn't have to rent a U-Haul or worry about driving a U-Haul down tighter streets and cities. Alright, let's get into the itinerary. Day 1, we headed from Northern Maryland to Knoxville, Tennessee. We got there around sunset, checked into our Airbnb before heading downtown for dinner. For day 2, we headed to Nashville, which honestly, I feel like is a little overhyped. I might just be saying that because I don't drink, but I don't know if there's anything I missed in Nashville that I should have seen. Let me know in the comments. But we explored the town, got some lunch, and then headed back to our Airbnb to relax before going to Love Circle for sunset. So we had a 9-hour-long drive the first day, and then the next day was 2 hours, which saved us a bunch, especially me. I get really antsy in the car, make the trip more palpable. Also, you have plenty of time to explore new places and you're not feeling rushed trying to get from one place to another. You can also, if you are planning on just doing hotels, just go as far as you want, see what you like. If you're a little bit more spontaneous on this trip, and then as soon as you feel like that's enough driving for me today, you can just book a hotel. They might be a little bit more expensive, but it allows you to be a little bit more spontaneous because as this video goes on, it does get a little bit chaotic. So day 3, we headed to Hot Springs, Arizona. Honestly, not the best place. They do have hot springs there, so if you wanted to do that, we got there a little bit too late to get in, but it is a nice recovery for all the long driving. Day 4 was another long haul at 9 hours to get some ground covered. Growing up on the East Coast, we kind of were like, let's just get through it and get to the west. So we kind of wanted to get all the longer driving days over with in the beginning. So on this day, we stopped in Oklahoma City at the Route 66 Museum, which honestly I loved and I definitely think it's worth it. So our endpoint for that night was Amarillo, and then the next day we woke up for sunrise to see the Cadillac Ranch. Okay, so now that we got through the boring stuff, it's time for the entertaining, interesting part. So day 5, we started the trek from Amarillo to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which was a nice, easy 4-hour drive. We enjoyed the Old Town Center, and then we headed to get some tattoos so we can remember the trip, because that's how I do. The next morning, I had an amazing opportunity to work with Rainbow Riders. It was so cool. We didn't quite make the sunrise because of the winds. We had to change locations, but still an awesome experience nonetheless. So then afterwards, we headed to a local coffee shop called Slow Burn, then headed west for 3 more hours with a stop in the Petrified Forest National Park. Now we hit a bunch of national parks and national forests on the way, so I just wanted to use this time to remind you that anytime you're in a national park, please be respectful of the land and leave no trace. So after a few hikes and a drive-through, we headed to our Airbnb, which ended up looking like a big junkyard in the middle of the desert. So we didn't really quite feel comfortable, and we ended up getting a hotel, so that's where we kind of made a mistake. It just ended up costing us, another $160 onto our trip, which was unfortunate, but rather safe than sorry. And you'll be surprised that this wasn't the only time this happens. Alright, heading into the next day. The next day was only 2 hours and 15 minutes of driving. We ended up going to Flagstaff for a quick coffee and then headed south to Sedona. We had a nice little cute Airbnb there. We explored the town and did some hikes. That night we ended up hiking Fay Mountain. Since we were there in the middle of August, it was really hot and could be really dangerous, with the hikes being over 3 miles on average. The next morning we ended up going to Sugarloaf Mountain for sunrise, and it was 10 out of 10 worth it. It was nice and short. It was a little bit of a steep incline, but the views are amazing. So for day 8, we drove a short 2 hours to Phoenix, Arizona. We wanted to explore the old town of Scottsdale and then the Desert Botanical Gardens. Again, if you're going in the summertime, bring lots of water and just be advised of the weather. So this day is where the second mishap happened with our Airbnbs. It just didn't feel right. The location was weird and the reviews were a little bit off because we looked at it right before getting there, because I didn't do my due diligence of looking at it while I was booking. So this is your reminder, if you are booking a lot of Airbnbs in a row, just to be really diligent, look through the reviews, make sure this is safe and what you are looking for. At the end of the day, we were trying to pinch pennies, which, sometimes can bite you in the butt. So we ended up having to get another hotel. So this is mishap number 3, where I ended up accidentally booking a hotel in Palm Springs. Now you'll see why this is a problem in a minute. So we drove another 4 hours that night, which was honestly totally fine. We just kind of wanted to cover more ground, and we got to Palm Springs. So we headed to our final destination, which ended up being Joshua Tree. So if you know anything about California, Joshua Tree is kind of the other way. So we pass it going to Palm Springs in a sense. So we had to backtrack to get to Joshua Tree, which was a little bit annoying because we just wanted to get to our destination at this point. But honestly, in the hindsight, it was worth it. So this day we explored the park, did some hikes, and did some stargazing, and had some pretty good late night Mexican food to sign off our trip. And that concludes the whole itinerary for traveling from east to west coast while moving across the country. So this total trip was 9 days. If it was just me, I probably would have made it a little bit longer and kind of made the first few days a little bit shorter instead of the long 9 or 10 hour drives. So we met in the middle at 9 days, and honestly, it was a great idea. We didn't feel rushed, nor did we feel like we were getting bored, so it ended up being perfect. So if you're interested in more about how I planned this trip or the logistics behind it, please feel free to leave any comments below. I'm happy to answer them. And if you didn't get to watch it yet, all of the logistics and planning that went into this trip is in the first video of the series. So I hope to share a little bit more consistently on this channel. I definitely want to kind of share the BTS of my life because it is pretty freaking crazy. So next I'm going to try to share a week of living in Panama because I was there for 2 months this year, and just kind of the behind the scenes of what it was like to be a surf photographer. So I hope to get that out within the next month or so. So if you subscribe, you'll get to see it. If you're interested, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next month. Bye!